How's everyone doing? I hope everyone is doing great. So, today is Valentine's Day as of this recording, and I didn't have any plans, so I thought to myself, why not work on editing videos and recreating this ASMR video? Because I had actually recorded this a couple of days ago, I think Wednesday. I want to say Wednesday. But I didn't really like how the sound turned out, so I was like, let me recreate it. No harm, no foul. So, for this video, I wanted to just tell a few stories and let you guys learn more about me based off these stories, I guess. Some of these stories make people chuckle, so I figured I'd share, and if you don't chuckle, then at the very least, you get to relax a little bit. So, anyway, this first story happened to me when I was 3 and 4 years old. I call it the robot story. So, when I was 3 or 4 years old, I lived in an apartment building with my parents. Basically, it was one building, but the apartments were all together, basically. And I lived on at least the 5th floor. I don't remember the exact floor we lived on, but it was at least the 5th floor. Anyway, so we had to move from one apartment to another, I think because our original apartment had some sort of infestation. So we ended up switching apartments, which wasn't too bad because the other apartment was like 20 or 30 feet away. Like, it's not that bad, if that. It was no more than 30 feet away for sure. So, while my parents were moving, I was lollygagging, because, I mean, I'm 3, 4 years old, and what could I do, you know? So I'm just lollygagging, being a child, and somehow I ended up getting locked out from both the old apartment and the new apartment, because my dad was in the new apartment, I think, rearranging stuff, and my mom was in the old apartment just cleaning up and making sure we didn't leave anything behind. So I'm a little bummed, but I'm like, alright, whatever, I'll just lollygag in the hallway. And as I was lollygagging, like, not that far from the apartments, from the old and new apartments, the elevator door opens. Now, from where I was at, the elevator was about 100 feet away, and the elevator doors face the wall, so you have to actually turn left or right. I think you actually have to turn, I think it was only one direction, so you had to turn right. And so, I'm wondering who's coming up, and I see this robot come out, and I'm talking about light bulbs for eyes, square head, square body, and I'm pretty sure square legs. And I'm over here thinking, what the heck is that? Is that a robot? No way. At the same time that I was thinking about that, I remembered earlier I was playing a game, a video game, I forget which one it was. I want to say Reinhardt on the NES, I don't know. Anyway, I was playing a video game, and I remember getting killed by a bad guy. And it's at that particular moment that I was like, oh man, I'm gonna die. And the moment I thought this, the robot turns in my direction and takes one step forward. Sorry that my chair's squeaky. Anyway, the robot takes one step forward with a thud, and I lose it. So I run to to the new apartment where my dad was at, and I'm bawling, and I'm banging on the door. I'm like, let me in, please let me in. When my dad didn't answer, I ran to the old apartment, and keep in mind this robot was still coming along. Sorry. Where was I? Oh, anyway, so the robot was still coming towards me because I could hear the thud. It was a very heavy thud, even though I was a young child, I still remember it. So as this robot was coming towards me, I am banging on the old apartment where my mom was mom's leg. Like, I'm still crying. I'm like, there's something out there. My mom's worried. She's scared. She's like, Benny, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, there's a robot out there that's going to kill me. And she's like, what? So she steps out of the apartment and she looks around and then she's like, there's no robot. And I'm like, what? So I go out of the apartment and I'm looking around and sure enough, there's no robot. And I'm like, what? I have no idea what I saw that day, ladies and gentlemen. But I do know that ever since that day, whenever I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would hear thuds outside of my apartment or above my floor, I would always think it's the robot that's going to come and kill me. So, a lot of people get a kick out of that one. So, that's the robot story. I really apologize for this chair. My typical chair squeaks a lot, so I thought I'd use this one, but apparently this one squeaks a lot too. So, anyway, so my second story explains. Well, I guess it doesn't explain it, but my second story is the reason why I don't go on blind dates and I don't do any online dating. Now, this happened to me when I was young. Not as young as the robot story, but it was still pretty young, but it left a significant impact in my life, so I'm a little skeptical about both online dating and blind dates. So, when I was in 7th grade, I had a friend who had a friend, and her friend wanted to be friends with me. And I'm like, alright, sure, I'm all about making friends. So, this is all happening when instant messaging was all the rave. If you don't know what instant messaging is, it's basically the precursor to texting. So anyway, so my friend had given the girl that wanted to be my friend my instant messaging username. And so she added me and she started talking to me. And we hit it off, you know. And one day I got curious and I'm like, I don't even know what you look like. You mind sending me a picture? Like, just like a family picture. It wasn't anything bad. Just like a family picture. And so she sends me a picture. Now, in this picture, there were two girls. I remember one of the girls I remember thinking, wow, that girl is pretty. And then the other girl beside the pretty girl was one that I didn't think was as pretty. If I'm being honest, at the time I thought she was average looking, the other girl. So we had one girl that I thought was really pretty at the time, and then we had another girl that I thought at the time was average looking. And so I'm like, which one are you? And she told me she was the pretty one. So I'm like, alright, cool. And I still started talking, being friends, but I at least had a picture of who she was. I think like a week or two go by, and eventually she's like, hey, I like you. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I like you, we should go out. And I'm like, yeah, we should. Because I'm in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna be dating a pretty girl. So so we make it official. And keep in mind, this is all in 7th grade. I think she was in 6th grade, so it wasn't that serious. But you know, at the time, I was like, oh yeah. Anyway, so we started dating, and one day she's like, hey, I really want to have breakfast with you. And I'm like, oh yeah. Keep in mind, this is all happening without me even meeting her. Like, I haven't even bumped into her for the first time. Like, this is all the interaction has been via IM. So I'm like, alright, I finally get to meet my girlfriend. he's like, "You're full of crap." I'm like, "Why do you say that?" And then that's when he's like, "'Cause I don't believe you." I'm like, "Well, feast your ass on this." And I showed her the picture of her, the other girl, and he looks at it and he's like, "Either she lied to you and she's the other girl, or she photoshopped herself and made herself look pretty." And I'm like, "Man, you're full of crap." And then that's when I got the idea. Hey, I'm supposed to have breakfast with her. Why don't you come with me and you'll see for yourself? And my buddy was like, "Alright, I'm gonna prove to you once and for all that, you know, she lied to you." So I think, I don't know when we had this conversation. I think it may have been the weekend. But anyway, Monday rolls around and basically I'm waiting with my buddy and I see my friend, the friend that me and at the time my girlfriend knew, but I didn't see the girl in the picture. But I did see the girl, or let me back up. I only saw my friend that both me and my girlfriend at the time knew. But I didn't see my girlfriend. Who I did see was the other girl in the picture. And my buddy just started laughing, like trying not to laugh. He would be like, you know, the stifled laugh. Sorry, I'm really hungry apparently. Anyway, my buddy was doing the stifled laugh, and I'm like, "No way. I've been catfished before catfishing was even a thing." So I'm over here like, "No, what have I done?" And my buddy was just having a ball. He's like, "Told you, I should have bet you money." And so, because I was a nice guy, I decided to stick with it. I'm like, you know what, I may as well. And so, I'm over here talking to my girlfriend who looked nothing like the picture. And I'm like, dang it. Dang it. Dang it. So, me and her actually ended up becoming good friends. We broke up, which wasn't really that bad, but we ended up becoming friends. And she's a really cool person. It's just that was wasn't in the exact same area. I think he was about a couple blocks away. So we ended up befriending him, and he would ride his bike, and he would come over and just hang out. But this kid was accident prone. He was also cocky too, so he would always make himself look like he could do anything. But he was always so accident prone. So for example, one time we were playing, or we ding-dong ditched the house, and we booked it. And I mean we booked it. And we ended up like running through someone's backyard, or part of someone's backyard. And I remember this kid, he tripped, and he rolled at least for a couple of seconds. Like I don't know how he tripped, but he ended up tripping, and he rolled. And so while we were booking it, me and my buddies would look at him, and we were like, just laughing at him. But he kind of deserved it, because what he would do is he would always, he would always say, "Oh, I can do this, I can do this, oh, I can do this better than you." So the other time I remember him kind of getting his comeuppance is when me and my buddy were just hanging out, and he, rides his bike into our neighborhood. We just start chatting, everything's normal. I think we end up starting to talk about like how to do wheelies on a bike. And this kid is like, "Oh, I know how to do wheelies. It's easy. You guys just don't know how to do it." So me and my buddy look at each other, and we're like, "Alright, then do a wheelie." Now, what we were talking about was not like a wheelie, like wall pedaling. We were talking about like the moment you start pedaling, like you lift your front tire up and you keep going. So you basically start with the tire up and then start pedaling. This accident prone kid said he could do that. So we made him show us. So me and my buddy were just watching this kid. And basically he like gets the bike up, but he can't pedal. So we're like, "Nah, you can't do it, you can't do it, just forget about it." Sorry. And so he's like getting upset. He's like, "No, I can do it. I'm just having an off day. I'm just having an off day." And we're like, "Alright, fine, we'll hurry up. We want to do something else." So he finally gets his bike up, and he starts pedaling. The problem is his legs weren't strong enough, or he didn't have a good angle, because literally he tries to pedal, but he's stuck, and then eventually he falls on his back. We die laughing, me and my buddy. We're like, we're dying, and we're like, "We told you you couldn't do it. We told you you couldn't do it." So yeah, I was a bit of a jerk back when I was younger. I probably would have slapped myself a few times. Like, or maybe not slap, because that's cruel, but I probably would have been like, "No." So, anyway, I guess I'm at 20 minutes. I'll save some of the other stories for later, but I figured I'd give you those stories, so that way you kind of had an idea of how I once was. I think that I always feel like these. Sorry, my stomach keeps growling, so I'm probably gonna go eat after this, but I always think these stories are interesting to tell, because not only do I get to reminisce about the good old days, but also it kind of reminds me of who I used to be, and people get to know who I once was. So I don't know. Plus, it gives me a chance to talk and whisper, and hopefully allow you guys to